For the world's poor, the current price and availability of Bitcoin are once in a species extent opportunity to acquire unconfiscatable hard money before 40 to 80x move on the upside. That is incredible. Warren Buffett will see his wealth hyperinflate while Bitcoin price does 40 to 80x, according to Max Kieser. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to unpack on this story. Yes, we'll talk about the story, but this is so much bigger than just this story. If you're one of my viewers or you're one of my subscribers, then I want us together to be very careful about making common mistakes that exist in financial sectors. I mean, you're a part of cryptocurrency, or you're learning about cryptocurrency, or you want to know more about cryptocurrency. This space is setting itself up to have what I personally believe, not financial advice, what I personally believe to be the greatest transfer of wealth in our lifetimes and possibly the entire history of the world. But if you're not careful, it is possible that you could get left behind. And when I say you, I mean those who aren't paying attention to cryptocurrency. And even if you're in cryptocurrency, some of the fundamental mistakes that I made early on was getting overcommitted to my principles, meaning it's okay to have principles, but I would find projects that lined up with my principles, and then I would allow my principles and my belief in my principles to cause me to overcommit to a project. And then I would end up losing on those investments. We'll talk about that more as this video goes on, but there's a lot to unpack today. So let's get into this story really quickly. Warren Buffett will see his wealth hyperinflate while Bitcoin price does 40 to 80x, says Max Kieser. I want to go through the article, but then I want to hear this is a short article, but I want to hear what your thoughts are about this article down in the comments. People with zero Bitcoin exposure like Warren Buffett will see their wealth hyperinflate to nothing while Bitcoin's price skyrockets 40 to 80x, says Max Kieser. Popular TV host and longtime Bitcoin proponent Max Kieser believes that futures traders suppress Bitcoin's price at current levels. However, once the asset explodes to Kieser's intermediate target at 28,000, Bitcoin's amount for sale will evaporate as governments and institutions will purchase directly from miners. I've talked about this before. I believe that we're going to see the federal government do a lot of jockeying around the price of Bitcoin. I believe that first they're going to suppress the price. First, they're going to try to prevent you and me from buying it. I believe we may actually see a day where Bitcoin becomes illegal for the average retail consumer to purchase at all anywhere. It doesn't mean that you can't purchase it. It just means it's going to be illegal to do so. Before you think that's crazy, you need to go back and look at American history. It wasn't too many decades ago that it was actually illegal to own gold for a short time. So if they can make gold illegal, if they can make alcohol illegal to drink, they can absolutely outlaw something like cryptocurrency. Again, prohibition didn't work. I don't think outlawing cryptocurrency is actually going to work, but I do believe that's going to happen. And then I believe that governments are going to jockey over the price, meaning central governments around the world. I think they're going to be trying to buy it up. But neither here nor there. Let's keep going. Kieser recently tweeted that the temporary Bitcoin price suppression scheme is a godsend for poor people to stack Satoshis now before retail liquidity dries up and the price vaults to gold parity levels around 400,000. So if you don't understand what this term means, if you're brand new to crypto, you're brand new to investing, you may not understand this gold parity. This is a common term. I don't think that the gold parity level is, I personally, Max Kieser is more of an expert than I probably am. I'm just a cryptocurrency enthusiast. I read this stuff, I talk about this stuff, I look at this stuff. But in my experience, I don't think we have much of a history to truly base a solid gold parity on. Parity means like gold and silver trade historically within a certain range from each other. So if that range gets too wide, then they typically think that either gold's going to come down in price or silver is going to come up in price until they get back within that historical range. So he's basically saying there's a gold Bitcoin parity range. And gold has went up and Bitcoin hasn't quite kept up yet. So he's saying at some point when they stop manipulating the price, arbitrarily suppressing the price, I'm not that familiar with it. I need to research that a little bit more about how they're suppressing the price, what they're doing. But I think this is an incredible read from Max Kieser. He's saying when they get done suppressing the price could shoot up eventually to $400,000 per Bitcoin. I believe this is possible for lots of reasons. The math dictates it. I mean, if central banks start buying Bitcoin, if even retail investors start buying Bitcoin on any large scale, it does not take much to see six-figure Bitcoin and beyond. A lot of times people say, well, I can't see Bitcoin going to $1 million. I know, Wealth, you say that. Heck, I got a whole playlist about it. I absolutely believe that Bitcoin's going to $1 million. And and the math dictates it. There's just not enough Bitcoin to go around. But because it has not ever happened, people have a hard time seeing it. But it's interesting to hear him say that he could see it going to $400,000. Again, he's basing that off the gold parity. I don't know if the parity is the reason that it will go to 400,000, but I could definitely see it getting to 400,000. Crypto Potato reached out to the popular TV host to elaborate on his views regarding the price suppression and potential surge in the value. Kieser asserted that for the world's poor, the current price and availability of Bitcoin are a once in a species existent opportunity. That's a phrase. To acquire unconfiscatable hard money before a 40 to 80x move on the upside. Let's talk about that. Let's say that one more time. For the world's poor, the current price and availability of Bitcoin are once in a species extent opportunity to acquire unconfiscatable hard money before a 40 to 80x move on the upside. That is incredible. People will say, why are you so serious about earning passive income in cryptocurrency? Because I think you need to start earning it now. And I think it's better to have a passive income stream. I would rather have a passive income stream in US dollars than just have a chunk of US dollars sitting in my savings account or my bank account. So I think if you're going to earn the stream, you have to do it now, because eventually these streams go up in value significantly. Kieser, he commented that his forensics analysis of the BTC market, corroborated by insiders, is indicating futures traders are suppressing the price of Bitcoin to give institutional players a chance to load the boat. He also gave his intermediate price target of $28,000 per coin. Once the cryptocurrency reaches that level, it would be a significant game changer for people's perception of the asset. I believe that's absolutely possible. By the way, this is interesting. I've not heard about this much before, and I kind of want to look into this. He's saying his comment that his forensic analysis of the Bitcoin market, corroborated by insiders, is indicating that futures traders are suppressing the price of Bitcoin to give institutional players a chance to load the boat. Someone said yesterday in my comments, I think I can't say his name, it begins with a D, sorry. But he said yesterday, why do you think, basically, I on my video yesterday, I talked about how the Rothschilds were buying Bitcoin. And they've only bought a small, tiny amount, like 200,000 worth through a trust. But he said, what makes you think that somehow the elites didn't create Bitcoin? Like, he's basically saying, they own essentially everything, or they've created essentially everything. And I actually don't believe that. I believe that the elites are very good at co-opting movements. They've co-opted the free market movement. And even today, many Americans think that we're in a capitalistic free market society, but we have strong swaths of socialism throughout our society. Yet a lot of people argue for free market economics. That's a sign that the elites have shifted, that they've captured, or they transformed, or they've co-opted a free market movement. At the same time, look at the American experiment. When the American Revolution took place, it was really about pulling away from the elites. Yet eventually the elites take power back. The elites are very good. And when I say elites, I mean, I'm not just talking about any certain millionaire or any certain billionaire. I'm just talking about those people who have the ability to reshape laws and policies at a national level. So you're talking about a very small amount of people. Those people are great at using the media, using politics to co-opt processes, to co-opt movements. Just like I think this is an example of them co-opting. And by the way, when I said that, when he and I were going back and forth in the comment section, I hadn't even read this article through yet. And so this is incredible. He's basically saying that right here. He's saying the price is being suppressed to essentially allow the elites to catch up. Ladies and gentlemen, people need to wake up. People need to wake up. When this happens, we'll see something quite unexpected. The retail market of Bitcoin will dry up. The amount of Bitcoin for sale at any price will be increasingly tiny. Institutional corporations and governments will be buying Bitcoin directly from miners, presumably at a huge premium. This is interesting if that happens. People like Warren Buffett will suffer. Let me back up and show you. Yesterday, I did a sponsored video talking about this project, Moon Token. This is an example. This is right here this thing is, who knows what's going to happen to this thing, but it's an example of how price movement can happen when there's a limited supply, a very limited supply. I'm not going to recap what this project is. I'll put the video up in the cards, link in the description if you want to look at it. But just to show you, yesterday, this Moon token was valued at about $900. Only 1,600 tokens. That's it. There's only 1,600 tokens available. Check this out. Now, mind you, yesterday, not even 24 hours ago, well, actually, it's the day before yesterday because I'm recording this video. When you watch this video, it'll be almost 2 days. $2,000. But now, mind you, I'm recording this video at 3 p.m., and you won't see it till tomorrow morning on the 21st. But at 3 p.m., which I don't think it's been 24 hours, this thing has more than doubled in price. Why? Limited supply. Demand outstrips supply. There's only 1,600 tokens. There's only 1,600 tokens. And so people are becoming aware of it, and people are wanting it. They're wanting to test it out. They're wanting to play with it. Look, I think I'm not saying this is a good investment at all. I'm not recommending that you go jump into Moon Day per se, but the thing's doubled 113%, I guess. Maybe that's 24 hours. 113%. Yeah, that would be right. 900 or something. Now it's 2,000. So that would be right. 113%. But it's because of limited supply. So he's basically saying that limited supply mechanism is going to happen when there's not a lot of Bitcoin for retail investors to purchase. And now the elites are going to essentially be, or the financial industry as a whole is going to be buying from Bitcoin miners at a huge premium. That's what he says. What do you think? Down in the description. People like Warren Buffett will suffer. Kieser, who's previously said that Warren Buffett will start panic buying Bitcoin when the asset price jumps to 50,000, said that people like the prominent investor who have no Bitcoin exposure will see their wealth hyperinflate to nothing. It's no secret for the community that Buffett isn't a fan of the primary cryptocurrency. He once called Bitcoin rat poison, and even at a charity launch with Tron's Justin Sun couldn't change his mind. Even a charity launch with Tron's Justin Sun couldn't change his mind. Shortly after the event, Buffett insisted that Bitcoin has no value and never will. However, Buffett recently purchased a massive share in a mining company producing gold while reducing his exposure in significant banks such as JP Morgan Chase & Company and Wells Fargo & Company. Kieser believes that those who had taken a similar path and purchased gold and silver will be less impacted. Nevertheless, even gold holders will see their wealth take a relative nosedive against investors that are 100% Bitcoin. Again, not investment advice. I'm not telling you to go out and buy Bitcoin, but you need to be aware of it. I do recommend my personal friends and family that they take a small amount and they just dollar cost average. I think Bitcoin is prone to actually have an enormous drop before it goes up. That's my belief, but I don't have a crystal ball. And I do know long term it goes up. So I tell my closest friends and family, hey, you need to earn some passive Bitcoin. You use a web browser that's going to pay you in Bitcoin while you're surfing the internet. Start doing things to pick up. I don't care if it's $10 a month, $50 a month. People say, what passive income stream should I invest in if I got $50? None. You should just buy Bitcoin if you're going to do that. Sooner or later, whether it's $5 in Bitcoin, $10 in Bitcoin, you got to start somewhere. You're going to have to start somewhere and have a small percentage of your net worth, whether it's 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%. You've got to do something. Because I don't know if this is going to happen the way Max Kieser says it, but I do believe that potential hyperinflation is very real. Hyperinflation is when there's so much money being printed or created that the dollars that you have lose their buying power fast. The dollar has lost over 95% of its buying power in the past, I think, 90-something years, 80-something years. You combine that with the fact that inflation has only increased over time. Not the government stated inflation, the ability to print money, this money supply has increased over time. There's never been an inflatable asset that actually has held its value as good as the US dollar. So the question is, when does that end? You know, right now, the US government, if every citizen paid, all the tax revenue collected from the citizens are barely covering the interest. So there's a problem. The US government's going to have to figure something out. And we'll save that for another video. I've got a whole video I want to do on that because I think I have some ideas of what might happen. And I want to at least talk that out and share that with you so you can develop your own ideas. But you'll have a basis and an idea to be able to leap off from what you think is going to happen long term, because our current economic system, the way it is right now, is not going to stand. The number one lesson that I've had to learn as I've invested in cryptocurrency. You take Warren Buffett right now. Warren Buffett says that Bitcoin has no value. But neither does the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar is not based on nothing. It's not backed by gold. It's backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, which literally has very little authority to do anything other than print more money to pay their bills. No other country in the world, hear this out because most people don't realize this, no other country in the world could carry the amount of debt that the American democracy can carry. And the reason is because as a country, America literally can issue more currency. They can pay their bills in the US dollar. It's known as the world reserve currency. And that's a whole nother lesson for another day. But it tells you that Warren Buffett is literally sold, or has been sold, that Bitcoin has no value, but the US dollar somehow has a value, or the US economic system, financial system, where it stands, has a value. But recently, and by the way, this whole thing about him buying mining stocks, when I saw that Warren Buffett sold banking stocks and bought mining stocks, that's actually relatively new in the past 3 to 4 months. When I saw that news story, I might have covered it on this channel, I can't remember. But when I saw that news story, I knew something enormous, because I'm actually a Warren Buffett fan. Like when I was in college, I was like, all right, I'm the type of guy that I'm like, who is successful in a certain area and who can I follow, who can I learn from? And then I go buy books and I try to, take courses if I can, everything I can about that person. So I know quite a bit about Warren Buffett. I would have bought Warren Buffett's stock in Berkshire, his Class B stock. I would have been investing in that even back in college. Honest to God, the reason I didn't is because I thought that man is old. Like if he dies, the stock's going to tank. And I thought he was old back then, and he's still kicking, and he's just older, but he's still going. For now, here's the thing. He's been sold to this idea of the financial system. And one of the things that he used to say was, he said a lot of things over the years about value investing and different things. But one of the things that he said in the past decade is he said that banks always make money. That he thought the financial sector, even in an economic downturn, would always be successful because, and I quote, banks always have a way to make money. So to see him diversifying away from the banking system and buying gold mining stocks, now one of the reasons that's incredible is because it's difficult for Warren Buffett just to buy gold outright, because the amount of wealth that he controls would blow the price way up. Now imagine when he buys Bitcoin, if he buys Bitcoin, or someone like him buys Bitcoin. But it's difficult for him to just buy directly into the gold markets. The fact that he's buying gold mining stocks is very interesting. Now the gold mining company that he's bought, is the ticker, coincidentally, is GOLD. That actually is one of the largest. I've actually invested in that company. I did very well in gold mining stocks for a couple of years. But that particular company is one of the most stable gold mining companies. But these companies in general, gold mining stocks, are considered quite risky compared to as a sector as a whole. Think about it. Their profits are determined on their ability to be able to find gold. I mean, what are the odds that you and I are going to go dig up gold in the backyard, or dig up gold anywhere for that matter? So that literally their profitability is based on their gold price and their ability to mine gold successfully. So the fact that he's diversified it away from banking stocks, which historically were considered a safe haven to be able to generate profits and revenues historically. So the fact that he's made that shift to gold is very, very telling for what's to come. But it's interesting because he hasn't made any shift towards the crypto side of things. And that's a great example where, at the very least, I don't think that Warren Buffett's going to go broke or nothing. Far from it. But he's being sold. He's married these principles that have caused him to miss opportunities. One of the great examples that Warren Buffett's missed, and I'm going to go through some examples of opportunities that I've missed because I married my principles. I was so married to my principles that I didn't want to invest in an opportunity that didn't match certain principles that I had about myself and my thought patterns. And I'm not saying that those principles are bad. You just can't allow those principles to cause you to miss opportunities. So here's an example. Warren Buffett was close friends with Bill Gates over the years. Warren Buffett never invested into Microsoft because he said he just didn't understand it. And because he said he wouldn't invest in anything that he didn't understand. So therefore, he never invested in Microsoft. And he had a chance to be an early investor in Microsoft. Could you imagine? Same thing with Bitcoin. He says he doesn't fully understand it, and he doesn't understand how it derives its value. So therefore, he won't invest in it. Now he mostly just says it's not worth anything. Why? Because if Bitcoin becomes worth something, it means that keep in mind, stock values go up because people are buying them. If people start diversifying away from stock, away from the financial sector, and they start putting their money into this other sector, such as Bitcoin, then that means that money is going to move out of one sector into another sector. That means prices in the sector that money moves out of goes down. If you're trying to figure out why the federal government wants Bitcoin to fail, part of the reason is the most powerful lobbyists that exist in Washington, at least in the U.S., are your financial lobbyist, your banking lobbyist. And most of them are trying to build a position now. And this is true when he talks about the suppression. We know this is true because Jamie Dimon did multiple interviews all within like a 2-week time period, about a year ago, where he claimed that, Bitcoin was worthless. It was stupid. His daughter bought some. He thought it was dumb. If he caught one of his traders buying Bitcoin, he would fire them. The last time we had a story like that, it wasn't even a month. We found out that JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon's company is secretly, or not secretly, they're slowly buying Bitcoin through the derivatives market. So that's a sure sign of someone who's trying to hold the price down. Because it's such a limited supply, the price could really shoot up. Now, let me tell you where I've made a similar mistake. Not that I'm a Warren Buffett, hardly, not even a pimple on his butt when it comes to, comparing his finances to mine. However, one of the mistakes that I made early on in my crypto career is I married a project. I really believed in it, and I didn't want to look at other projects. A lot of people did this with Ethereum, meaning they wouldn't look at Ethereum because they were sold on Bitcoin, so they wouldn't look at Ethereum. And take, for example, here, this one, Tron. People wouldn't look at Tron because it was just it was plagiarized off of Ethereum. Never mind the fact that it was the initial concept was plagiarized, and then it was tweaked, adjusted in a different format to serve a different type of market to make transactions faster, cheaper, or simpler. Yet the Ethereum guys couldn't see it. Do you know how much money they've missed out on Tron in this entire ecosystem because they're so focused on Ethereum? Same thing with the guys that are stuck in Bitcoin. Some of those guys totally missed out on the rise of Ethereum. They probably have it now, but it's too late because they were married to certain principles. This is true for something like Proof of Weekends. One of the very first projects that I ever talked about, and it will always have a little bit of a fondness in my heart. Like I remember the days. Back then it was a great community. It was a fun community to be a part of. It was really exciting. And I really thought this community was going to do great things. I made a lot of videos about how this concept, Proof of Weekends concept, being able to have a smart contract where you pay 10% in to enter the contract, you pay 10% in to get out. And I just thought, and with these dividends going to all the stakeholders who were holding the token, and I just thought, what a neat concept. I could see something like this in the insurance market, the retirement market. Like I really bought into that concept. I thought the 10% was too much, but I thought they were ahead of their time. And then there was clones coming out where people were just doing money grabs, and I knew it was money grabs, and I thought it was so stupid. And I was like, it's clone. I'm never going to go for a clone. No, I'm going for the original. I'm never going to go for a clone. Yet today, there's a development team here that has literally dropped the ball. In all fairness, I don't know what they've done recently, so I can't say anything. But, there was promise after promise that we're going to do this, or we're going to do this, or we're looking at this, or we're looking at that. And nothing ever came out. It just fizzled. But talk about being ahead of their time in that moment. But then something like Ethereum Gold comes along. Ethereum Gold is started by a gentleman. I hope to have him on the channel soon. And we're going to do a kind of a live stream or whatever. But Ethereum Gold was started by a gentleman, or maybe we'll do an interview to be recorded on my channel, on his channel. But he was started by a gentleman, a developer who really believed in that 10% in, 10% out model. But he didn't see this so much as a gaming model. Proof of Weekends, P3D, I mean, they really saw it more as a gaming model. And to be very honest with you, I kind of tend to agree with that sort of model in a lot of ways. He saw it more as a stable model, like just stake it, hold it, create it as an Ethereum savings account. Now they've added Bitcoin, which is pretty crazy, but that's how he saw it. Yet today, I would tell you that I think this community is far stronger today. Why? Why do I know that? Because I know for a fact that my channel is known in the P3D community, and I can tell you that I get comments after comments asking me to talk about this project. I've had one comment ask me to talk about P3D in probably, I don't know, months. Here's the challenge. The enthusiasm that this community has, what they're doing, what they're moving towards, he has conviction. There is a lot of money earned by coming in early in this project. But people like me, for example, didn't, it was a clone. It was bad, so we avoided all the clones. And then, by the way, most of the clones were crap. There was a lot of idiots, people who actually thought if you charged a 50% fee, not understanding economics, that somehow everybody was going to win with that. No, only the developers win on it. That was dumb. But then, you move along, you look at something like Moon Token, talked about it yesterday. People are like, oh, that's stupid. It's just, it's a clone of Ethereum Gold. It's a little bit different. Yeah, the key was it was a little bit different. Yet, by the way, I'm not saying this thing is amazing, but here we go. We're sitting here at, $2,000+ Where's it at now? Is it up or down? Let's see. What do you think? Guess. Quick. Say it out loud. Up or down? Down. Okay, so here we got almost $2,000 now. It's pulled back. Can you believe this thing? I can't believe this thing is consolidating at like $1,900. It's absolutely crazy. It's absurd. Ultimately, it's probably going to crash. But here's the thing. What I've learned about crypto is you got to be willing. If it looks like there's a possibility for something to be there, someone can get behind it. There's marketing. There's a community. There's a unique concept. You cannot be so married to your current ideas that you aren't willing to look at another project. You just can't do that. Let's take, for example, Bet Fury. Oh no, holy crap, dropped to 103. Oh no, that's 1.2 million in the diff pool. Sorry, that just caught me off guard. Wow. So people are like, oh no, it's just one of those gaming platforms. They come and go. Oh, it's just like Tron Bet. It's just like, yeah, but in some ways, what they're doing is better than Tron Bet. In some ways. I mean, I still like, well, it's not Tron Bet anymore. It's Wink. But it was just a clone. It was just a clone. Listen, the first clone I missed out on. I've just learned that sometimes the clones are better, or they have a different angle, or even if the clone's not better, and I just say clone because it's a common word thrown around, even if the clone's not better, it still might present a short-term or long-term opportunity. There still might be a chance to make money there. I'm going to tell you a story about a gentleman that I know. I met this guy who was successful in the advertising space. And it was a very particular niche that he was that he created advertising for. And ideally, basically, people would call him up and they outsourced all their advertising to him. I met him one day and he was telling me, I was sharing his story, or I was asking him about his story, how he got started. He was 19 years old. It's a phenomenal story. I should share it on the channel sometime. But when he got done, I said, you know what? I said, I love your business because I love what you guys represent. I love what you do. And you're so much better than XYZ company. And he said, I'm actually an investor in that company. I said, get out of here. It's so different. How did you end up as an investor? And then I said, there's only so many players in this space. There's about 5 or 6. I said, but most of them suck, like XYZ company. He said, yeah, I'm an investor in that company as well. And finally I said, wait a minute. Why would you be an investor in your competitors? And he said something so good. He said, I can't let competition stop me from creating an opportunity. He said, my business becomes stronger. My family becomes stronger. My financial situation becomes stronger when I seize the proper opportunities. He goes, I said, so how did you end up as an investor? He said, well, obviously, I know all of these people. I know these CEOs. He said, so I understand the value of their businesses. I understand the value of their clientele, and I know their businesses. So they end up in financial struggles. They look like they're going to go out of business. And I find out that they're looking for loans. They're looking to stay afloat. This is a cyclical market, and if you don't save money and create a financial fortress around yourself, the down cycle will put you out of business. But I know there's an up cycle, and I know they're highly profitable in the up cycle. So I go in, I agree to give them a loan, and they don't have to pay me back if they allow me to invest, and I'll help them prevent them from getting in this cycle again. He goes, they run the business independently, but I'm an investor, so I never lose, even if my competitors are beating my business. That's brilliant. Like, that's how an entrepreneur thinks. Like, that's how we want to think, ladies and gentlemen. So here's another example. Hex comes along. Oh, Hex is crazy. It's garbage. It looks like a Ponzi scheme. It looks like a Ponzi token. All the money's going to the Ethereum address. Richard Hart's doing this. Richard Hart's doing that. And, the whole 9 yards. Okay, so everybody poo-poos on it, right? He doesn't know what he's talking about. The problem in this space is there's so much groupthink. It's always groupthink for a project, and it's always groupthink against a project. You've got to think for yourself. You got to think for yourself. People start saying something's a scam because they hear in Telegram, oh, it's a scam. Stop jumping on the bandwagon. Ask yourself, well, if it's a scam, how is it a scam? If it's not a scam, how would it not be a scam? You got to try to think independently, because groupthink will cause you to be broke. However, Hex is a problem. It's a scam, et cetera, et cetera. This is what the people didn't like about it. Then all of a sudden comes this thing T2X. It's like on Tron, but it's like better. They pay you 95% back. Yada, yada. Oh, it's just a clone on Hex. Yeah. And my first 30 days with T2X, I 10x'd my money. But it's a clone on Hex. It's a problem, etc. I don't know. Maybe. Who cares? There's an opportunity there. And then, here comes the DSP. It's a clone. It's a clone of T2X. Who cares? There's an opportunity there. So I'm not saying that you should jump into everything. I'm just saying don't discount everything just because you're married to your principles. Warren Buffett is on his way to missing out on literally the greatest transfer of wealth. And by the way, if you don't participate in the receiving of the transfer of wealth, then you've got to be one of the people losing your wealth. Warren Buffett's about to miss out on the greatest transference of wealth because he's married to an idea. If Max Kieser's predictions here end up being true, and I don't know that they are. Max Kieser's an interesting guy, by the way. I highly recommend that you I would recommend that you read or listen to some of the stuff he does. You can find him on YouTube, some of his television shows and interviews, and I think he has a podcast too. He started out as a gold bug. He was really big into gold, and he's one of the older guys that was in the gold community that recognized Bitcoin for what it was pretty early on. There's no telling how many millions of dollars he's made because he got into Bitcoin early. And I don't think he's ever actually sold a Bitcoin. But you would rather be someone like a Max Kieser who's open to new ideas as opposed to being a Warren Buffett who's closed off and potentially is going to take a big hit. Of course, Warren Buffett will be fine. However, ladies and gentlemen, think about this. Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? What do you want to accomplish? Now you're in a position like cryptocurrency may change many of our lives. Just because you're in this space, you don't end up missing out on what's happening. I believe that everyone should learn enough that they feel comfortable investing in this space. And I'll take it a step further. I think you should be here and you should be here learning to be able to build a business in this space. Anybody can build a business. Anybody could start a YouTube channel. Anybody could learn to be an affiliate marketer. I've created a course that is designed for beginners where I want to be able to help you to start in the beginning of earning a passive cryptocurrency income. And I have the best, literally the best affiliate program that I think is the most newbie friendly to allow you to start building a passive income, a leveraged income where you can learn to be able to not only to earn a passive stream, but actually build a business around that passive stream of income. Literally, I've put all this together in a multi-video course, and I'm still developing it right now. We're in pre-development phase right this moment. If you want more info, go down in the description. Subscribe to our Crypto Passive Profits newsletter. That's just a free newsletter. But once you subscribe to that newsletter, you'll end up seeing a video. Watch that video. Pay very careful attention to that video. They're going to talk to you about our monthly membership course. It's $10. And for $10, $9.99, whatever, you'll be able to get access to a course. What I know, a beginner, the whole idea is take someone who has no experience and how to help them get started today. Literally. If you get started with that course, within the next 24 hours, you're going to start earning your passive stream of income. It's not going to be a big income at first, but you'll be able to start growing it week after week, day after day. And I believe that everybody should become an investor in this space. Everybody should become knowledgeable in this space. Ladies and gentlemen, cryptocurrency leads to economic freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.